Hello and welcome to the Managing Madrid Podcast. It is almost 1 a.m. local time in Lisbon, and I was at Estadio da Luz tonight, Benfica Stadium. My first time in my second time in Lisbon, my first time at Benfica Stadium. And I have a lot of thoughts, as you can imagine, after Real Madrid's 4-2 loss tonight. And first of all, I just wanted to apologize that this is going up so late. Logistically speaking, it was just way too difficult for me to do a live, let alone upload it sooner. So I apologize, and I thank you for your patience. I know that a lot of you guys wanted therapy session number 3000. We're just going to start fresh at number 3000 because we lost count. So I apologize that the therapy session could not come sooner, right after the game, where you might have needed it. Maybe you're sleeping now. If you are, God bless you. Sweet dreams, and wake up tomorrow morning and listen to this rant. Before I get into laying into my team, which is Real Madrid Club de Football, I'm actually just going to say one thing. Congratulations, Benfica, and I actually mean that. I really do. Being there tonight, we most of us here are Real Madrid fans, right? Most of us who are tuning into the podcast, and obviously you know I am. But if you're a neutral or a Benfica fan, tonight is kind of what football is all about. I can't really explain the scenes that was happening when Benfica scored the fourth goal, because everyone around you is just constantly refreshing the Champions League standings, what's going on in the other games. It's mayhem. It's constant, everyone's just panicking. People are not getting proper connections. So some people are getting updates sooner than others. You hear roars in the stadium. What does that mean? All of a sudden, the urgency for Benfica to take that, they went from time wasting to needing that fourth goal in an instant, and they score it. The goalkeeper scores it. I can't, Benfica fans were crying. In disbelief. They were grandchildren hugging their grandparents. So that's it. It was from a pure footballing standpoint, it was quite beautiful to see. Obviously, for a Real Madrid standpoint, total disaster, hall of shame. Everybody, hall of shame. From all of you should be ashamed of yourself. To go from third place to ninth place in one night is inexcusable, disastrous. And it's not like you left tonight with your hearts on your sleeve, proud of your performance, putting in great effort. No, you were played off the park. Benfica should have scored more than 3 goals. It was a disaster, lifeless, tactically outplayed, outhearted, if that's even a word or a term. Benfica thoroughly deserved it, and Real Madrid were disastrous in every way, shape, or form. So here's what I've done tonight. I would like to present to you my list of players in order of how embarrassed I was to watch them. Number 1, Vinicius Jr. Where I was positioned and sitting in this stadium, in the second half, I was right on Vinicius' wing, really, really close to him. I can't tell you how many times he would just give the ball away and then yell at his teammate, as if it was their fault. How many times a teammate couldn't give him the ball and he would just yell? How many times he lost the ball and he just put his arms in the air instead of pressing and counter-pressing and winning the ball back? He just sat there and complained. He was horrible on the field, and players can be bad. It happens. But when you're bad and you're also just bringing so much negative energy to the team, it was just really disappointing. And mind you, I'm singling a lot of players out. I put him first because he is a quote unquote leader. I can sit here easily and tell you Mastantuono was bad tonight. Carreras was bad tonight. But at least in Mastantuono's case, he's an 18-year-old kid who works hard. Yeah, he sucked. But when I'm calling out players like Vinicius and Tchouaméni and Bellingham, these guys are supposed to be the leaders of the team. These guys are supposed to be the ones we look to, we refer to, when times are going tough, the leaders who rise above the noise, who carry you. Where are the leaders? Where are they? Vinicius, I was embarrassed to watch him tonight. Aurelian Tchouameni, careless in possession, not tracking. He is supposed to be the primary source, the single pivot, the anchor, the Fernando Redondo, the guy from the sixth position who is supposed to progress the ball, who is supposed to organize and bring calm to the back line and chill everyone's blood. And, as much as we can fault the midfielders for, the lack of ball progression or this or that, or the lack of pressing, he is a single point of origin that's supposed to organize that midfield. Bad Tchouameni game. Carreras was just really poor tonight. And I will circle back to Carreras when I'm talking about tactics in this game, because I think he was also a victim of the tactical setup, but also it was true that he was poor. Defensively, he was a sieve. Franco Mastantuono, all of his touches were super heavy. It just feels like there's like a piece of metal in his foot where the ball, if it comes to him and he has his back to goal, he can't hold it up properly. It's very mechanical with him. The ball bounces off him. He's very heavy with his touches. And there were so many points where the ball would come to him and then we would lose it. I remember saying that on the right wing, Mastantuono is just not a line breaker. And I really like Mastantuono. Again, he's 18 and I think he has room to improve. But there are a couple things he's lacking. One is his speed and two is just line breaking because he's not a pure right winger. So him and Güler on some level are actually a little bit redundant in that sense because they both like to receive the ball in the right or the right half space, turn and cut in with their left foot and distribute. And so I remember thinking like, in those situations, you really miss Rodrigo's composure and tight-knit control in tight spaces and line breaking and dribbling, which Mastantuono just doesn't have. Jude Bellingham, I thought, again, he's having poor touches as well when we're talking about heavy touches. The ball progression needs to be better from him. I thought, for what it's worth, he grew into it in the second half. It was his ball carry through traffic where Benfica players were just bouncing off him, which ultimately was the architect for Mbappe's second goal. And I'm also going to add Mbappe to this list. And yeah, I get it. He scored 2 goals. How many times did he just have the ball deep and he just needlessly tries to take a player on and he loses it, and that Benfica have this huge transition attack? These are all the players, and the order I listed them was kind of the order I was disappointed in them in. If you'll notice, I excluded a few players, Güler, which we'll get to, Housen and Asensio, and I thought Fede was actually quite good in the first half especially. And he wasn't contributing to the chaos, but he was kind of like Carreras in the same boat that the tactical setup really screwed him and the team over. Part of the reason why I exempted Housen and Asensio, great assist to Mbappe, but part of the reason why I exempted them is because they are the only 2 defenders defending a barrage, a tsunami of Benfica transition attacks. Because the way that Arbeloa had this team set up, he had Carreras up high up the pitch, Fede up high up the pitch, and they just got exploited with one pass. They had no coverage. So every single play that Real Madrid lost the ball, Asensio and Housen were facing these transition attacks by themselves. And I'll come back to that again with the wingbacks and the defenders when I'm talking about Arbeloa. I exempted Güler because I think there's not much else he could have done. I think he was distributing well, he was taking care of the ball, he was progressing, he was trying to play vertical. I think when you're talking about the final ball, which he had in that Mbappe's second goal, he was trying to be progressive, he was trying to be vertical, and he was trying to take care of the ball. I don't have too much issue with Güler in this game. Even Rodrigo, who got the double yellow, the funny thing is, like, in the stadium tonight, especially more than any night I've been to a game, we had no idea what the hell was going on. All these replays, it was just pure chaos and pandemonium. I don't know what happened half the time. I didn't see Rodrigo's, second yellow to see what happened there. But even Rodrigo, who got the double yellow coming off the bench somehow, at least helped create the first goal. The other one I'd like to call out here is Alvaro Arbeloa, though, because he set up the team tactically today, basically inviting Benfica to murder us in transition. We can talk about the press or lack thereof. To me, it wasn't an issue that we didn't press. Because the fact that Benfica had so many opportunities was not because they broke our press. It was because we would bring the ball up and the build-up phase would just kind of halt before we'd even get to Vinicius and Mbappe, because we just had no outlets. We didn't have enough movement between the lines. We didn't have someone kind of linking the midfield to attack, because Güler would drop deep, Bellingham would drop deep, and then we had Tchouameni, Mastantuono was dropping deep. Heck, Kylian Mbappe was dropping really deep in this game. And so the team really, the movement and the build-up and the sequences were just really confusing to watch today. It was really regression to some of these last few games under Xavi. This game actually, in a lot of ways, reminded me of the Anfield game, where we just did not have the intensity of our opponent. It was an away game. And truth be told, if it was any team better than Benfica tonight, it would have been worse than 3-2. But more than the fact that our press got bypassed, it wasn't, to me, that wasn't really the what was happening, because we weren't even in position to press to begin with. It wasn't our press that was failing us. We would lose the ball before it got to got to the attackers. Sorry guys, it's 1 a.m. It's been a lot of traveling today. So the fact that he set us up that way to get murdered in transition against a Mourinho team who you know exactly how he's going to play. These big games especially, yeah, he did pick and choose when he wanted to press Real Madrid, but they basically stayed compact and they were ready to play one pass through transition and be in on goal. Arbeloa also didn't react accordingly to me. I don't have any issue with him bringing on Sestero, because you're talking about ball progression from the six. Sestero's profile is that. We've been saying trust the kids. I have no issue with that. But he took off Güler, who was the player most likely to help play the final ball into the box. He brought on Brahim, who was completely redundant, because Brahim and Rodrigo were just operating in the same zones. You had a bunch of wingers on the field and no target. Where have we seen that movie before? Gonzalo Garcia made way more sense than Brahim. I want to bring your attention to Benfica's second goal. Just 10 seconds before that goal, Güler plays a ball to Carreras. Carreras is in this great crossing position. He looks up. I swear I was right behind Carreras in that moment. I was sitting right there, and it all just froze like slow motion. They had so much time to react, and they just stared at each other. Carreras gets the ball in a crossing position. Mbappe staring at him from outside the box. Vinicius staring at him outside the box. Bellingham staring at Carreras outside the box. Fede Valverde a little bit further out on the wide side staring at Carreras outside the box. And everybody just stood there and froze. And then 10 seconds later, Benfica score. And it was so surreal. But of course, why are we bringing on Brahim instead of Gonzalo Garcia in that situation? And why did Güler come off? And I'll tell you why. We talk so much about Arbeloa and hyping up Vinicius, which I actually don't have an issue with him doing that. He's trying to get the best out of his best players. Arbeloa will not sub Vinicius out. Vinicius was probably our worst player tonight. And Arda Güler was actually the guy most likely to feed that final ball tonight. Why did Güler come off? Because Güler is the smaller name. He's the one that's going to come with the least amount of noise when you sub him off. And so we're in back to square one. We're back to square one. Now, with all these criticisms I have, the thing is, I have to continually remind you guys and remind myself that The season is not over. You have to keep fighting and you have to keep figuring this out. Yeah, going from third to ninth in one night off the back of that terrible Hall of Shame performance is really bad situation to be in. By the way, you might face Benfica in the playoffs. And Benfica now have all kinds of belief that, hey, we can beat this team. But you're still 1 point behind Barca in the league. And you're still within shooting distance of the Champions League. Mind you, I think we're all on the same page here. Me, you, the most optimistic Madridista, the most pessimistic Madridista. This Champions League run will come to an end. Whether it's in the playoffs or the next round, and certainly whenever we have to face Arsenal or Bayern or PSG or whoever. I mean, you don't even have to go to those three. I mean, all season we've been even below the B tier teams. Liverpool, I know they're struggling, but they got 18 points. And they beat us comfortably. Barca, Chelsea, I wouldn't be confident against Chelsea. Atletico. This Champions League run will come to an end. But you got to keep fighting, and you certainly have to keep fighting for the league. Because you should have everything in control in the league. You should win all those games, even the games like Barca, Atletico. You should be beating these teams. So you have to keep fighting, no matter how unlikely it is, because you're still in it. Like, we're not like 10 points back or anything. We're still right in the thick of it, and you got to keep figuring it out. You have to keep putting these pieces together. You have to let these, you have to figure out the Bellingham Güler coexistence. You have to get your defenders back. You have to get Trent and Militao and Carvajal back and just keep fighting. But tonight was like, 5 steps back after a couple steps forward. Can I shout out Jose Mourinho? You got it right, man. Third man runs killed us. This is basically the blueprint to beat Barca too. You play one quick pass behind the fullbacks. The striker moves centrally, and the center backs are just not in position to catch up in that situation. And they destroyed us with that in the first half. Should have scored more than 3 goals tonight. I think Mourinho made the game chaotic, but he did it in a way that suited Benfica and not Real Madrid. So yeah, here we are, guys. I'm gonna go eat. I'm gonna go sleep, and shout out to you guys for enduring this. It's like I've been to my whole life covering this team as a journalist. It's just been W after W after W after W for years. W's, man. Past year and a half, I think I've had more L's than any other period. It's just been L, 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 L. I had like a 100% epic W record for a few years. And I'd say like the past nearly 2 years has just been L City. So, Matt had a tweet I saw after the game where he said, he just doesn't feel connection with these players. I don't blame him. It's hard right now to root for this team. But you gotta keep showing up. We do anyway. We gotta keep showing up and analyzing the team because it's our job. So we're gonna do it. Guys, thanks for tuning into this very somber, low energy podcast because of my personal energy levels because of the travel. It's not an excuse, but I'm just telling you, this is how I'm feeling right now. So this is what you're gonna get. Lucas is gonna be back for our members tomorrow. He's doing Madrid mornings. He's also doing mailbag later in the week because I won't be able to join him. And then I will see you guys Sunday from the Bernabeu after the Vallecano game. But if you want the members only content, make sure you sign up over on patreon.com/Managing Madrid. You can also simply hit join on the memberships tab of this YouTube channel. Thanks guys for tuning in. Peace out. As always, Hala Madrid.